We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. All 41 workers trapped in the tunnel in North India's Uttarakhand evacuated safely, ending 17 days of agony. Financial aid of rupees 100,000 announced for rescued workers. Indian PM Modi speaks to workers rescued from Uttarakhand tunnel over phone. Lord's rescue operation says people involved in this mission has set an amazing example of humanity and teamwork. 12 more hostages, including 10 Israelis and 2 foreign nationals, released by Hamas on first day of extended truce. Israeli PM Netanyahu says committed to return of all hostages. And Glenn Maxwell's unbeaten 104 helped Australia beat India by 5 wickets. India leads 2-1 in the 5-match series. On to details now. After almost 17 days of intense efforts by multiple agencies, all 41 workers trapped in Silkyara tunnel in North India's Uttarakhand were evacuated safely on Tuesday. As the rat hole miners came out after clearing 8 to 10 meters of debris, NDRF personnel took over and brought out the workers through the passage in stretchers. Union Minister V.K. Singh and Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami welcomed the workers. As National Disaster Response Force men brought them out through an escape passage that had been created by inserting steel hewn pipes one after the other through 57 meters of rubble. Uttarakhand Chief Minister thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for putting all efforts to make this operation successful. He also announced a reward of rupees 100,000 to each of the 41 construction workers. CM Dhami also said the Boknag temple at the mouth of the temple will be rebuilt and the tunnels under construction in the hill state revealed. And President of India Draupadi Murmu, Vice President of India Jagdeep Dhankar and Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauded the Uttarakhand rescue operations. President of India Draupadi Murmu in a social media post said, and I quote, "I feel relieved and happy to learn that all the workers trapped in a tunnel in Uttarakhand have been rescued. Their travails over 17 days as the rescue efforts met with obstacles have been a testament of human endurance. The nation salutes their resilience and remains grateful to them for building critical infrastructure even at great personal risk far away from their homes. I congratulate the teams and also all experts who have acted with incredible grit and determination to perform one of the most difficult rescue missions in history." Unquote. And India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar also lauded the resilience of trapped workers after their safe rescue from the tunnel. Taking to the social media platform X, he said, and I quote, "Greatly pleased to know about the successful rescue of all the workers trapped in Uttarakhand's tunnel. Their 17-day ordeal showcased human endurance, unmatched resilience, and indomitable faith in the nation's commitment to stand by them. Congratulations to the dedicated teams and experts for executing this challenging rescue mission with grit and determination. Wishing all the workers a healthy and happy life ahead." Also, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday said that the success of rescue operation to bring out the trapped workers from Silkyara tunnel is making everyone emotional and hailed the courage of the workers as an inspiration to others. He also spoke to the rescued workers over the phone and inquired about their well-being. The Prime Minister also congratulated the multiple people engaged in rescue operation for their bravery and determination to bring out all the trapped workers safely.
सोलह 17 दिन समय कम नहीं होता है। आप लोगों ने बहुत बड़ी हिम्मत दिखाई और एक दूसरे का हौसला बनाए रखा, ये सबसे बड़ी बात है। मैं लगातार जानकारियां लेते रहता था, मुख्यमंत्री जी से भी लगातार संपर्क में रहता था, मेरे पीएमओ के अफसर वहाँ आकर के बैठे थे, तो जानकारियाँ रहती थी, लेकिन चिंता तो कम होती नहीं है। जानकारियों से तो समाधान तो होता नहीं है। लेकिन मैं सचमुच में आपके माध्यम से वहाँ जितने भी हमारे श्रमिक साथी निकल कर के आए हैं सबको और उनके परिवार का पुण्य भी काम आया है, ताकि इस संकट की घड़ी से बाहर निकल कर के आए हैं।
Meanwhile, the rescued workers are getting primary medical treatment at the community health center in Chinyalisore. Once their checkup is done, they will be allowed to go home. Also, India's Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami meets and inquires about the health of rescue tunnel workers at Chinyalisore Community Health Center, also hands over relief checks to them. India's Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami expressed his gratitude towards everyone involved in this rescue operation.
जो हमारे गैस कटर थे, इसके आए हुए टेक्नीशियन थे, उन्होंने बहुत जीवटता का काम किया, तो बड़ा चुनौतीपूर्ण रहा। और इसमें काम करने वाले जिन जिन लोगों ने भी अपना योगदान दिया, मैं सबका धन्यवाद करता हूँ।
Also, celebrations broke out across India on Tuesday evening after all the 41 trapped workers were rescued from an under-construction tunnel in Uttarakhand. Well, family members, the rescued workers also celebrated the successful accomplishment of the rescue operation. They celebrated the safe evacuation with joy, crackers and sweets. Moreover, the rescued workers thanked the Indian government for their efforts and also said that they were all healthy.
हर जगह से व्यवस्था की गई, ऑक्सीजन की व्यवस्था, खाना पीने की व्यवस्था, और बाहर से मशीन जो आई, बाहर से मंगाए गए, देश से विदेश से अपना मशीन मंगाए गए, इंडिया से भी मशीन कुछ आए, ऑस्ट्रेलिया से भी कुछ आए, और इंडिया IDRF वाले आए, SDRF वाले आए। वो लोग सब हमारे देशवासियों, भारतवासियों, पूरा हम लोग को प्रयास में निकालने की कोशिश किया। और मुख्यमंत्री हमारा उत्तराखंड का जो है वो हमारे प्रयास में लगे रहे हम लोग को निकालने के लिए। जो पाइप था हम लोग का, पानी का पाइप, उससे हमारा खाना की व्यवस्था की गई, उसी से हम लोग को खाना मिलता था। उसके बाद थोड़ा 10 दिन होने के बाद फिर बाहर से पाइप का एक जो व्यवस्था की गई, उससे हम लोग खाना, काजू किशमिश, बादाम, रोटी, चावल, दाल, जो भी मिला सही सलामत सब चीज़ की हम लोग को प्राइवेट की गई।
Also, India's Uttarakhand Chief Minister lauded the successful rescue operation in the Silkyara tunnel. Taking to the social media platform X, he said that Prime Minister Modi dialed and congratulated the team on the success. In a statement, he assured that the evacuated workers were given appropriate medical treatment and food. Moreover, he also informed that all the arrangements were being made for sending them to their respective destination. While hailing the successful rescue operation, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said to the social media platform X, "We will leave no stone unturned to protect our own." Heartfelt gratitude to all those who worked tirelessly to rescue those trapped in the tunnel. Commend the grit and determination of those who faced such adversity without giving up hope, he said. Well, the celebrations also broke out in Assam. Family members of the trapped workers expressed their joy and thanked Indian government for their quick response to the situation and rescuing all the trapped workers.
17 दिन का पर जो इसे उद्धार हुआ है, मतलब मेरा लड़का निकल आ चुका है, तो एम्बुलेंस में उनको ले गया गया है। एम्बुलेंस में बैठा कर उनको स्टेटमेंट भी लिया गया है। तो वो बात सुन के मेरे दिल में ऐसा आनंदित तो लगा है।
जैसे आनंद लगा है ना, उसको मैं अपना भाषा से बोल नहीं सकता है। ऐसा आनंद लगा है, ऐसे फुर्ती लगा है ना, क्योंकि जो लोग वहाँ काम करते आज 17 दिन तक उन लोग टनल में फंसा हुआ है, वहाँ से कैसा बचाएगा, हम भी बहुत चिंता में था।
भारत सरकार को मैं बस यही कहूँगी, थैंक्स अ लॉट, बिकॉज उन लोगों ने जितना हो सके उतना ट्राई किया, उनकी तरफ से बेस्ट ट्राई किया। तो पिताजी ने बोला कि मैं ठीक हूँ, घबराने की कोई बात नहीं, अभी मेडिकल पे हूँ ट्रीटमेंट के लिए।
Well, among the 41 rescued workers, Gabbar Singh Negi, a worker from the Indian state of Uttarakhand, also went through the 17-day ordeal. His family spoke to media and expressed their contentment towards the safe return of Negi. They also thanked the Indian and state government for their continuous efforts.
मेरे को 12 तारीख से इंतजार थी कब निकलेंगे वो बाहर। रोज मैं उनकी अपडेट लेती थी कि कब निकलेंगे के बार। उन सबकी दुआ है, बाहर आ गए हैं। उनसे मेरी बात वो हो गई, अब कि मैं बाहर आ गई, मैं सब ठीक ठाक हूँ। प्रधानमंत्री और सीएम धामी को मेरी बहुत बहुत बधाई और उनको मेरी सलामी कि उन्होंने मेरे हस्बैंड को सही सलामत घर पहुँचा, बाहर निकाल दिया। उनके साथ जितने भी साथ हैं सब बाहर आ गए, उनको मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करती हूँ।
बहुत ही बढ़िया लग रहा है, ऐसा लग रहा है कि दिवाली आ गई दोबारा। और फोन आया था पापा का कि मैं ठीक हूँ, बाहर आ चुके हैं, तो बहुत खुशी हो रही है। यहाँ पर
देख रहा था सामने, 10 दिन पहले भी यहाँ रहा, फिर उसके बाद में आज आ गया और मैंने जब देखी मेरे को बहुत खुशी प्राप्त हुई। हमारा प्रधानमंत्री साहब ने जो काम कराया बहुत अच्छा कराया, हमें बहुत खुशी है इसमें।
As we heard, Negi's son said that the family will celebrate the Indian festival of Diwali in true sense now, as father was trapped in the tunnel on the day of Diwali, due to which his family was not able to celebrate the festival properly earlier. On the occasion of this, Negi's wife Yashoda Devi also expressed her joy.
I think it's a fantastic piece of news. It is both a huge relief for everyone looking at this and, you know, recognizing the trauma of not just the men who were trapped, but also their families. But it is also of huge credit to the skill and capabilities that our system has developed, and of course of international expertise that came into support, that every single one of the men have been rescued unscathed. It is really a red letter day. So a big congratulations to the rescue teams, and from a grateful nation, from every single Indian and every friend of India, I'm sure, great kudos to everybody involved in the rescue.
That was the Indian High Commissioner to the UK, Vikram Doordarshan. And moving on, Indian High Commissioner to the UK, Vikram Doordarshan, hailed the efforts of all those involved in Uttarakhand rescue mission. And moving on, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese hailed the Indian authorities for successfully carrying out the rescue operation to evacuate 41 workers who were trapped inside the Silkyara Barcode tunnel in Uttarakhand. He also expressed pride in the role of Professor Arnold Dix, a tunnelling expert from Australia, who oversaw the operation that progressed over 2 weeks, navigating myriad challenges. Also speaking about the experience during the Silkyara tunnel rescue in the Indian state of Uttarakhand, Australian expert Arnold Dix opens up.
And as a parent, it's been my honour to help all the parents out there getting their children home. And you remember in the beginning I said 41 people home safe, no one gets hurt. You heard how we got success. We are calm, and we knew exactly what we wanted, and we worked as a wonderful team. And when I say a wonderful team, the best engineers here in India, the Army, their engineers, the best I've ever worked with, all the agencies, the federal authority, the state, all the people. It was just a joy to be a part of this successful mission, just one part. And I've got to go to the temple because I've promised to say thank you for what's happened, because my friends, if you haven't noticed, I think we've just witnessed a miracle. And all the people helping. all the people helping. We couldn't get anyone hurt. The mountain hadn't hurt anybody. The mountain was keeping everyone safe and warm. It let us feed them, it let us give them water, it let us give them medicine. So I think a bit of thanks is in order. I'm not sure how big your battery is. I think it would be better to say what kind of challenges didn't we face. And what we didn't face was a combined sense of purpose to save the 41 people. That's the challenge we didn't face. And in many places we don't have that. Everyone knew we were bringing those men home.
Moving on, update now on Israel-Hamas conflict. 12 more hostages, including 10 Israelis and 2 foreign nationals, were released by Hamas on the first day of extended truce on Tuesday. The International Committee of the Red Cross said that 12 hostages had been transferred from Gaza, and Israel's military confirmed that the 10 Israeli citizens and 2 foreign nationals were with its special forces on Israeli territory. A total of 81 hostages held in Gaza have now been released during a truce between Israel and Hamas. 61 of them are Israeli, and all of them are women and children. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Tuesday has reiterated that Israel will push for the release of all hostages held in Gaza without exception. Also, the Israeli Prime Minister's office stated that the list of hostages is currently being reviewed and notices are being delivered at this time to the families of those said to be released after more than 50 days of being held hostage in Gaza. Meanwhile, the UN Refugee Agency said it has scaled up its aid delivery in the northern part of Gaza during the humanitarian pause. A video released by the agency on Tuesday showed UNRWA staff working with 8 trucks loaded with humanitarian supplies, including food, medicines and fuel, meant to be delivered to Gaza and North Governorate on the 5th day of extended 6-day truce in the Gaza conflict. And Chief of Israel's Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi, on Tuesday said that the military will operate to release all hostages in Gaza. He also said the army was ready to resume combat against Hamas in Gaza as and when the mediated ceasefire between Israel and Hamas comes to an end.
The return of the hostages is a bright spot for all of us. It is also further evidence of the results of the significant military pressure and the resolute ground operation. We have created the conditions for the return of our citizens home. We will continue doing so. We are preparing for the continuation of the operation to dismantle Hamas. It will take time. These are complex goals, but they are justified beyond measure.
Well, foreign ministers of the group of 7 countries support the further extension of the pause in Gaza. Foreign ministers in a joint statement said that every effort must be made to ensure humanitarian support for civilians, including food, water, fuel and medical supplies. The statement further said that the G7 nations support the further extension of this pause and future pauses as needed to enable assistance to be scaled up and to facilitate the release of all hostages. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is set to visit the Middle East, focusing on securing a lasting ceasefire and the release of all Hamas-held hostages. This marks his 3rd trip to the region since the October 7th attack. Let's take a look at DD India's correspondent Nick Harper's report from Washington for more.
His top diplomat is returning to the Middle East for more talks on the conflict in Gaza. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will visit Israel, the West Bank and the United Arab Emirates during the course of this week. The US State Department says he'll head there after wrapping up a visit to North Macedonia. The Biden administration is aiming to push for more humanitarian aid to enter Gaza and to secure the release of all the remaining hostages that were kidnapped by Hamas during the attack on October the 7th. But Washington is also pressing for another extension to the Israel-Hamas ceasefire beyond the 2-day truce extension, even for a permanent end to the fighting. Part of Blinken's aim is to discuss a long-term solution to the crisis and trying to engage Israel on what happens next, including the long-talked-about creation of an independent Palestinian state through the 2-state solution. The Biden administration has already ruled out long-term Israeli occupation of Gaza, instead calling for a permanent political solution to the long-standing conflict. Blinken's visit comes after CIA Director William Burns held meetings in Qatar on Tuesday. He met with his Israeli and Egyptian counterparts, including the director of Israel's intelligence service, Mossad. Burns has become a main player in the Biden administration's efforts to get all the hostages released. As the former ambassador to Jordan, the CIA director has experience working in the Middle East and building trust with leaders in the region. Nick Harper in Washington, reporting for DD India.
And India showed its solidarity with the people of Palestine at United Nations ahead of International Day of Solidarity. During the UNGA meeting, permanent representative of India to the UN, Ruchira Kamboj, said that India welcomes the humanitarian pauses that will ensure the timely and continuous delivery of humanitarian aid.
The humanitarian pauses is a welcome step to ensure timely and continuous delivery of humanitarian aid. We, on our part, have sent 70 tons of humanitarian goods, including 16.5 tons of medicines and medical supplies. There can be no justification for terrorism and hostage-taking. We also call for the immediate and unconditional release of the remaining hostages.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. The next World Fair Expo 2030 will be hosted by Saudi Arabia in Riyadh after winning maximum votes.
Get ready for the groundbreaking event that will shape the future of our planet. This November, the world unite in Dubai for COP28, the pivotal UN Climate Summit. Join us as global leaders confront climate challenges and strive for.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on, foreign ministers from the NATO alliance have reiterated their support for Ukraine at a meeting in Brussels. This comes as domestic political challenges have hampered support from the United States and the European Union. Let's take a look at DD India's correspondent Alex Cardia's report from Brussels.
The big question coming into this meeting was whether or not Ukraine fatigue was setting in among NATO allies, and if the alliance's support might be weakening. The response from some of NATO's key allies was clear. They will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. The alliance's Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg still found it necessary to urge NATO allies to stay the course in their support for Kyiv. Despite Republicans in the United States blocking more aid for Ukraine and Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban doing the same in Europe, Stoltenberg highlighted recent new and substantial pledges of support for Ukraine.
We have seen major new announcements just in recent days. Germany pledged 8 billion euros for next year, and the Netherlands pledged over 2 billion euros. Romania has opened an F-16 training center for Ukrainian pilots. Allies, including the US and Finland, are sending more air defense and ammunition. And 20 allies have established an air defense coalition for Ukraine. All of this helps to save Ukrainian lives and sends a message to Russia that our support will not falter.
Beyond Ukraine, the ministers also discussed the situation in the Western Balkans and the bloc's relationship with China, defining issues for the future of NATO. And as has been the case for the past year and a half, the allies also awaited movement on Sweden's application to join the alliance, an application still being blocked by Turkey and Hungary, despite Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg saying the time has come to approve it. Despite frustrations and some disunity over Swedish membership, NATO allies have so far been focused on showing a united front, united in their long-term support for Ukraine. Alex Cardier at NATO headquarters in Brussels, reporting for DD India.
And Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman received Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva at Al Yamama Palace in Riyadh. The meeting between both heads of state is part of Lula's official two-day visit to the Arab country. During the bilateral meeting between officials from both nations, Brazilian and Saudi energy ministers, Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman and Alexandre Silveira signed a memorandum. Well, India's ambassador to the UAE talked about India's preparations for 2023 UN Climate Change Conference, the 28th conference of the parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. COP28 will take place from November 30th to December 12th, 2023 at Expo City, Dubai. Let's hear more from a correspondent, Shishir Sheller.
Prime Minister Narendra will be joining the COP28 summit in Dubai. What kind of enthusiasm we have here and what kind of preparation that India has done for COP28? To get more information on it, we have with us the ambassador to UAE, Sanjay Sudhir Sarji. What are the preparations that India has done for this particular conference?
Well, we are looking forward to participating in COP28 at our highest level. Honorable Prime Minister will himself be here. And I would say the world is looking forward to his participation because every time he participates, he shares his vision, which the world takes very seriously. Right since the Paris Agreement was signed, we have shown the world that we have walked our talk when it comes to climate change. We have taken the lead.
How do you see when the Prime Minister will be in UAE further going and further strengthening of the relationship between both the countries?
In the last 9 to 10 years, there has been a meteoric rise in the relationship. And that, I would say, is guided by the vision of the leadership on both sides, Prime Minister Modi and UAE President, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. There have been so many milestones which we have made. Last year we signed SEPA, the first SEPA ever for the UAE and the first SEPA ever for India with any country in this part of the world. As a result of SEPA largely, there was a bilateral trade increase of about 16% in just 1 year. Last year UAE was the 4th largest source of FDI for us. There are also other developments happening. For instance, the first campus of IIT Delhi overseas will be set up actually in Abu Dhabi. In the last month, when our education minister was here, there was an announcement of setting up the first ever overseas office of CBSE in Dubai. The previous month, when Commerce Minister Shri Piyush Goyal was here, we signed an agreement to share our RuPay debit and credit card stack with the UAE. Again, it's the first of its kind because UAE was the first country with which we have signed an agreement to share our RuPay card stack. And you rightly said multilateral forums are extremely important. For instance, we have just finished a very successful G20 presidency, and in that so many historic decisions were taken. For instance, associating the African Union, making it a formal member of the G20 process. Also the lead taken by Honorable Prime Minister to involve Global South, and he himself initiated this Voice of Global South, in which he collected with the Global South to make sure that their voice is also mainstreamed.
And we hope that happen here as well.
Inshallah. We are very, very sure that it will happen because the world is looking forward to what vision our Prime Minister has to share on this very critical issue of climate change.
Thank you for talking to us. That was India's ambassador to UAE, clearly stated that how India is preparing for the COP28, and of course that how India's voice is getting heard on the international platform as well. With camera person Rajesh, Shishir Shelar for DD India, Dubai.
And Saudi Arabia will host the Expo 2030 World Fair in Riyadh. The vote results from 182 members of the Bureau International Desk Expositions showed. South Korea's Busan and Italy's Rome were also in the running to host the World Fair, a 5-yearly event. Riyadh won 119 votes, Busan 29 and Rome 17. Results from 182 members of the Paris-based Bureau International Desk Expositions showed. The Saudi capital has proposed to host the event between October 2030 and March 2031. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Nipakshi Prana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.